50グラムの骨の粉を1リットルの硫酸で溶いてこの特製のドクロ X 液を垂らす。
Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born! Using their ultra superpowers, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup have dedicated their lives to fighting crime and the forces of evil!
Nah, that's not right.
Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. What's up everyone, Kaiju no Kami here, and yes, you read that title right. Tonight I am reviewing Himitsu Sentai Gorenger, the original Super Sentai. With Kamen Rider's overwhelming success, Toei hired creator Shotaro Ishinomori to create another series, this time featuring a 5-man team. Despite this, the show was originally planned to be titled Red 1, meaning that the team's leader, the Red Ranger, would be the main character. This changed over production, which allowed each member to have their own time in the spotlight. This concept gave the show's writers more to work with, as they could write multiple stories for multiple characters without having to retread material as Kamen Rider often had. Nevertheless, that didn't always prevent some characters from being developed more than others, which is a trend that follows even into today's shows. Being that Goranger is the first of its kind, how well does it hold up compared to today's standards? Let's find out by taking a look into the show's heroes. The heroes. Unlike other Sentai shows, our main heroes are soldiers who belong to a military organization called the Earth Guard League, or EAGLE for short. At the start of the show, various EAGLE bases are attacked by the villains, leaving only one survivor within each through either sheer dumb luck or character shields. I can't tell because sometimes it appears to be a shield, while other times it does appear to just be pure luck. No. We are not going there. Regardless, this already provides an interesting twist for someone who has seen many Sentai shows, because not only are the Rangers fully experienced soldiers, but it also makes the show feel more like a spy thriller than a superhero show. The Rangers will often try to infiltrate their enemy bases, sometimes just to spy on them, other times to sabotage their plans, as if they are a team of James Bonds.
大丈夫。こう見えても私はスパイ小説の大ファンですから。いや、ジェームズ・ボンドになったつもりで頑張りますぞ。
Hell, just like James Bond, they often get caught as at least one Ranger is captured in nearly every episode. What's even more funny is how the villains blatantly don't kill the Rangers after capturing them for one stupid reason or another. For example, there is an episode where our Pink Ranger, Peggy Matsuyama, is sneaking around a lab and gets caught. The villains know she is the Pink Ranger, but instead of killing her, they lock her up.
Aren't you even gonna watch them? They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just gonna assume it all went to plan. What?
Yo people be dumb. Though, I guess the Eagle soldiers are no better. In one episode, a poison scientist is being treated at a highly guarded hospital. Our Red Ranger, Kaijo Tsuyoshi, straight up tells the soldiers at the gate to not let anyone enter the hospital. Barely a minute later, this happens.
Evil will always triumph. because good is dumb.
Regrettably, being that it is the first series and a Showa-era series, there's not too much story given to the Rangers. They're here to save the day from the villains, nothing more, nothing less. That doesn't mean they're bad characters, it's just that compared to the heroes in later series, they're cardboard. Luckily, they all have such unique, interesting personalities that I rarely found myself minding this much. Kaijo, played by Makoto Naoya, is our robust, valiant leader. He rarely gets emotional, as doing so could endanger his cohorts. One of the biggest aspects that drives his character was his brother's death during the attack at the beginning of the show. Sadly, that's as far as his development goes, yet he is also the prototype for what the Red Ranger would represent as a character for nearly 2 decades before Toei started to make the Red Rangers loud and obnoxious.
You must whip it. Now whip it into shape. Shape it up. Get straight.
Next up is Akira Shimei.
Goranger!
Those of you who have watched a lot of Toku may recognize actor Hiroshi Miyauchi as Big One from Jaka, the Commander in Goranger, Zubat, the head of Wind Spectre and Soul Brain, and Kamen Rider V3. Miyauchi adds a lot of personality as the second in command, which is a major positive as he rarely seems to be on the battlefield due to him always piloting the team's airship. Moreover, Shinmei appears to be the most brutal of the quintet as he will downright torture a monster with his bow and arrow to get what he wants. My favorite of the group is Daita Oiwa.
Kiranger!
Baku Hatakeyama portrays this curry-loving, tea-bagging moron. You think I'm kidding about how much he loves curry? Well, I'm not. You could play a drinking game on how many times the villains feed him curry for one reason or another.
お口にあって私も嬉しい。太郎くはどうじゃい？ここにはいない。何？いただきます。
さあ召し上がれ。はい、まあそうですの。いただきます。
うまかああ、こりゃボリュームがあるわい。おやすみなさい。
I love you, man, but come on, you're so gullible. The man just cannot resist curry no matter where it is coming from, nor what the situation entails. It's kind of an obsession for him, so much so that maybe he should see a doctor about it. Of course, if he did, half of the fun with his character would be gone. Unfortunately, there is a point in the series where he leaves for several episodes, as Hatakeyama left the show to portray in a play or something. In his place, we were treated to the cardboard cutout that was Daigoro Kumano. Jiro Daruma did the best he could with this poorly written character, but when your introduction is relegated to this...
大岩大太がイーグル九州支部の教官として抜擢され赴任していったんだ。そこでゴレンジャー予備軍で成績優秀な熊野大五郎をゴレンジャーに昇格させたんだ。
With your defining characteristic being this...
大ちゃんに釣りの趣味があったの。
あんみつの次には釣りが好きか。
There's not much going for you.
Lame!
It doesn't help that he doesn't have any episodes to his name either, making him feel like the stand-in that he was. Hell, he doesn't even get his own fighting style as all those scenes in costume are exactly identical to those of Daita. And on the downside that when Daita does return, that there's still not much left with the Yellow Ranger at that point. It's kinda sad how the Yellow Ranger took a back seat by the end of the series. Lisa Kamaki plays Peggy. Peggy is probably my second favorite ranger who, unlike a lot of her pink successors, doesn't feel like she's merely there for fan service, as she seems to have the most amount of screen time compared to her teammates.
手を挙げろ。私が何をしたっていうの？
問答無用だ。一緒に来い。
She is a bomb expert, often being the one to disarm the bombs the enemies use in their terrorist plots. This also makes her a prime target for our villains as they know her expertise is a vital asset to the Ranger team.
モモレンジャーが爆弾の専門家だとは知っている。モモレンジャーに爆弾の解体をさせるものか。
Without her, the show would be one giant Michael Bay orgasm after another.
これが見えないの。次元爆弾よ。 少しでも触れてごらんなさい。相当もろとも吹っ飛ばすわよ。
Last but not least is Kenji Asuka.
Goranger!
Yukio Ito is the youngest of the lead actors, playing a teen who will often jump headfirst into any situation if he is antagonized enough to do so.
逃げるのか腰抜けども腰抜けめ
行くのよアスカ。ほっときなさい。アスカ。
Due to this, Asuka will often get injured in the heat of battle, be it by his own volition or because he sought to rescue someone without considering his own worth. It doesn't help that he is also one with the biggest character shields, as he spends one episode limping the entire time after being shot in the leg, only to transform and fight as if nothing had occurred at all. I'm not really a fan of their ranger suits, as the holes in the oversized helmets look a tad goofy. I can get over it, although I find it funny that the rangers have capes, even though it has been reported that Ishinomori hated capes.
No capes!
I do like how they have numbers on their helmets though, along with the triangular plates on their chests that match up with their ranger number. Not to mention the earrings on Momo Ranger that also act as bombs. Their weapons are pretty basic, with things like a bow and arrow, a boomerang, a whip, but they do get some upgrades during the second half of the show, including new motorcycles. As for their final attack, in the first half they kick a ball around called Goranger Storm. While in the second half they beat the monsters up with a football-themed Goranger Hurricane.
Are you ready to touch the football? On Monday night,
I also mentioned earlier that they have some airships, the first being Vari Bloom and the second being Vari Dream. They are also given an air balloon during the last batch of episodes. Being that they are a part of a military organization, the Rangers have a commander by the name of Gon Edogawa, or as I call him, Charlie. Why Charlie? Simple. He has 3 female agents, 007, 008, and 009 that he sends out to do reconnaissance work from time to time.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little girls who went to the police academy, and they were each assigned very hazardous duties. But I took them away from all that.
007 tends to get caught a lot, especially when it involves her riddle-loving younger brother Taro.
Flee, you idiot.
While 008 and 009 just disappear partially through the show and are never heard from again. My guess is that they were killed off-screen.
So dark. You sure you're not from the DC universe?
To hide his cover, Gon runs a curry shop that Daita absolutely adores. Halfway through the show, the curry shop is destroyed by some of the villains, so he remodels it into a fruit parlor. Daita refuses to accept the change though, so Gon specially makes curry just for him, despite it no longer being on the menu.
大盛りカレーじゃん。たまには他のもん食ったらどうなんだよ。お前一人のために特製カレーを作るわけにはいかねえんだよ。
めっそうもない。また
You can easily tell just how much the budget increased in the second year just by how much more elaborate Gon's shop has gotten. Other than them, some random characters of the day, no-name soldiers who die 95% of the time, there's not much else as far as the heroes are concerned.
尻にでっかい穴を開けてやる。
お尻がちぎれちゃうばい。ちぎれるばい。
雷が鳴っても離れるものか。
The villains. The villains in this series are simply just a terrorist organization. Think Cobra and G.I. Joe, Spectre and James Bond. Here, they're known as the Black Cross Army. They are led by a man in white known... yeah. Let's look at his design from the second season. Okay, they are led by a man in white with a black cross for a crown simply known as the Führer. Just so you know that the Black Cross Führer has nothing against anyone, here is his soldiers killing some KKK members. The Führer just didn't realize what he was wearing, kind of like the sun in Scary Movie 3. Wow. Goranger just made me reference Scary Movie 3. Ouch. Anyway, the Führer's the leader. He yells a lot, and occasionally seems out of character due to the second actor playing him bringing a different style of performance on screen.
Oh, まばゆいばかりだ。ゴールドシャドウの完成を楽しみにしておるぞ、大将軍。
I don't know you anymore.
But that's him alright! The original Sentai main villain. I'm droning. I know. I'm just kind of stalling for time so I can think of something to say about the generals other than they are the equivalent of cardboard like I already did with the Rangers. A little way into the show, the Führer's first general, Sun Halo Mask, shows up, causes a ruckus, and is soon replaced with the more hands-on Iron Man mask General Temujin. I like Temujin. He is often on the battlefield, and at one point he even decides to hold his own execution for his inability to defeat the Gorangers.
私は連戦連敗の将軍だ。相当閣下のご期待に添えなかった。死んでお詫びするしかないのだ。早く撃て。命令だぞ。スチール仮面。
The Führer stops him, only to end up replacing him with Volcano Mask General Magmon.
イーグルの化学兵器研究所を襲い、ゴレンジャースーツの分析資料を手に入れ、その弱点を攻めます。
Magmon feels more like a filler general as he isn't around for very long and accomplishes nothing beyond destroying some ego bases full of red shirts.
アバロン砲発射。
Soon, he is replaced with the Egyptian-themed Commander-in-Chief Golden Mask.
私は黒十字架に誓う。ゴレンジャーは私が潰す。必ず。
For being the show's final general, Golden Mask does absolutely nothing. He doesn't even go out onto the battlefield. He just gives orders from the sidelines and makes excuses for his failures. I really feel like Temujin should have been the final general of the show since he was always doing hands-on things.
You said that already!
The monsters of the week look absolutely ridiculous most of the time, as they are just men in spandex wearing large masks on their head. That's not to say there aren't some cool ones, as they will often have some awesome dialogue.
工藤教授を返せ！バカめ！返すくらいなら初めから誘拐などせんわ！我らが目的は清水博士を連れ去ること。そこで一芝居打ったのよ。そうか。
And I do like several of the monsters, including the Mac Tonight looking Crescent Moon mask.
It's Mac Tonight! Come on, make it Mac Tonight!
Iron Princess mask.
知らねば言って聞かせよう。黒十字軍の黒バラ。花の乙女は鉄姫仮面。
Iron Comb mask, who makes me think of this.
Found anything yet? Nothing yet, sir!
Door mask.
バカ者め、二度と出られはせぬわ。
Oh, his costume is so adorable.
I'm not laughing, Mr. Fortune.
Warship mask. One whose name I kid you not is Hornbone Mask.
俺様は黒十字軍の角骨仮面だ。やれ。
The Assassin Telephone Mask.
いや、わしがいける。もしもし。
あなたの死亡時刻が参りましたので、そのお知らせに。
何？私の死亡時刻。
どれか来るの。
あ、もしもしかずみちゃん今夜とっても嬉しかった
Gunman Mask. A monster where you could tell the themes were getting quite tiresome.
貴様何者だ黒十字軍のタイヤ仮面様だ
You're not funny anymore.
And my favorite of them all, the extremely polite locomotive mask.
まるで SL だ
黒十字軍じゃない
Now, since there are no mechs in this show, there are no reasons for monsters to grow. The grunts are a bunch of soldiers wearing black outfits known as Zogers. Zogers. Such originality. They're pretty easy to impersonate, though the villains seem to know this as they will often recognize one of the Gorangers when they have taken up the disguise as a Zoger.
我がゾルダーはそんな安っぽい覆面でごまかされるような低級な兵士ではないんだ
They will also pilot Black Cross's own air force known as the Condor Fleet. Lastly, we get a group of ninja-like soldiers during the last quarter of the show who manage to be a lot more competent. The mecha. Did you not just hear what I said? There's no mecha in this show. So why is this category even here? Next. The effects and music. For a show from 1975, the effects hold up pretty well, and the music's not too bad either. Sure, it has some easy to tell wire work, fake looking rangers falling down a cliff, blue screen effects that look a tad out of place, yet it's still pretty solid all around, especially with some great fight scenes. The production team clearly knew thanks to Kamen Rider what could and could not work, so very rarely did I see any effects that were utter failures, and when there were things that didn't work out so well, you could tell care was put into the effect to make it work to the best of the show's ability. I can't really fault the show for that one bit, especially given the time period. Even the music by Michiaki Watanabe, despite being that 70s era Showa flavor, has some catchy moments to it, especially in its first ending theme titled after the show that will often play as an episode's battle music. Trust me, the lyrics from this song are going to get stuck in your head for weeks. The ending themes, Himitsu Sentai Gorenger and Mio Goranger, were sung by Asao Sasaki. A couple of tracks I enjoyed throughout the show include this one, this, and this. The episodes. Unlike your modern Sentai series, Goranger is as episodic as it gets. It does have some multi-parters. More often than not, though, every episode is a standalone story as if you were watching a mini spy film. To its benefit, nearly every episode is quite intriguing to watch that I never found myself minding the lack of a cohesive narrative. Granted, I did start to feel Goranger fatigue during the last quarter of the show, yet I didn't let that stop me from enjoying it, as some of the last several episodes are absolutely outstanding. There's one that has Kaijo disappearing and Shimi has to infiltrate a Black Cross base. Looking for him that is impressive. Right after that was a Peggy episode featuring her visiting a village with a snake woman that is killing young girls. There's another with Peggy trying to find an agent that is being hunted by a yo-yo monster. And an episode that sees our team ice skating. At the end of it all, the episode I had the most fun with was the one titled Black Super Express, Locomotive Mask's Great Run. In this episode, Locomotive Mask is running around Tokyo for reasons we don't learn until later on in the episode. But it was just such a joy to watch. In the words of Slappy the Squirrel, now that's comedy. He's very polite, trying to do his assigned task, and only fights the Rangers when they force him to. We even get a great scene of him stopping by Edagawa's fruit parlor, requesting water, and then thanks them for it. I was laughing my ass off the entire episode as it was just so damn amusing. As for my least favorite episode, that honor goes to the finale. Why the finale? Because it frickin' sucked. It was rushed. It felt out of place. It felt like an episode that they were getting ready to write episode 84, and Toei said, hey, you know what? We're going to make this be the last episode, so you need to write it as if it is the last episode. There was no build-up. The events that occurred just happened randomly. Like at the beginning of the episode, Black Cross Fury is like, I'm going to challenge the Rangers to fight me myself. Yeah, and then other stuff occurs, and the whole episode was just a rush job. It didn't make sense. It was horrible. The plot twist on what Black Cross Fury is was quite stupid and didn't work either. It was just an entire mess of an episode, and I could spend an entire hour just ranting about it and why it sucked. I have to say this, at least it left the finales as far as Sentai shows go at the very bottom, so every other series could surpass it, because there's no way you could get a lot worse. Even the ending to Changeman was better than this one. I absolutely hated the finale. The movies, movie. Technically, Goranger had several movies during its run. It's just that only one of them was an actual movie. The rest were episodes edited down to be theatrical features. In this feature-length film, the Gorangers find themselves tailing an illegal arms dealer. Is there any other kind? Who's going to sell a missile to Black Cross? So of course the Rangers have to stop him while taking on a robotic monster. It's a pretty uneventful film, especially given that it's less than an episode, but it has a cool boat chase. That's something, right? The manga. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Goranger manga that 7 Seas Entertainment had just recently released. Seven Seas Entertainment has graciously decided to bring the manga adaptation of Goranger to America, which was written and drawn by Shotaro Ishinomori, who is pretty much the Jack Kirby of Japan. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most comics published under one author and is sometimes referred to as the King of Manga. Some of his series include Kamen Rider, Kikaider, Cyborg 009, Gilgamesh, and he even adapted the video game A Link to the Past into manga form. Not to mention all the live action based series he helped kickstart. His influences have spread throughout Japanese culture and has even occasionally made its way into America. Anyway, the Goranger manga Seven Seas has released encompasses two different adaptations of the show that were made for different audiences. The first 200 pages of the book contain a run that was serialized in Weekly Shonen Sunday, a weekly manga magazine, and ran from May to August of 1975. I'm not exactly sure how many pages were in each issue, as Seven Seas has combined the story into one long continuous tale, but it does seem to encompass 3 different story arcs. The remaining 100 pages revolve around 4 standalone stories that were published in a monthly magazine aimed primarily at 5th graders, known as Shogaku Gonensei. What's interesting is that while these stories are titled Goranger, they are completely independent from each other and the TV show, as they feature different origin stories for the Red Ranger with different tones. You rarely ever see the Gorangers outside of their costumes in the Shonen Sunday edition, whereas the stories from the Gonensei are more akin to the television series, with them normally being regular civilians until the call of duty arises. However, it is worth noting that the Rangers never transform at all during the last Gonensei chapter. Now knowing that it doesn't share any continuity with the TV series, is this manga worth reading? Let's take a look at the heroes to find out. The heroes! The main characters of the manga remain the same as they were in the TV show. We've got Kaijo Tsuyoshi,
Goranger,
Shinmei Akira,
Goranger,
Oiwa Daita,
Kiranger,
Asuka Kenji,
Goranger,
and Peggy Matsuyama.
Momoranger!
One thing to note is the ranger names relate to the colors of their ranger suit, as Aka means red, Oya is blue, and so on. However, one of the reasons they called Peggy Momo Ranger was not actually for the color pink, rather, they based it on the word Futomomo, which translates into thighs, as Peggy's actress in the TV version, Lisa Komaki, had thighs that were a pervert's dream come true. No, that's not sexist at all. Regrettably, there is very little in the way of development for most of our Ranger cast given the short nature of this manga run. Kaijo is the one character who has the most growth, specifically in the Sunday run, which is where we get a deeper origin story for him. The Sunday story kicks off with Kaijo about to go to the movies with his girlfriend when his dad has him test out a brand new outfit, which is a prototype super suit. Afterwards, Kaijo is informed of an evil terrorist organization that is trying to harm the world, and he has been tasked with joining up with a team of heroes under the government military organization Eagle, who also don similar suits. This brash decision against his will upsets him, so he runs away to gather his thoughts, only for his father and their students to be murdered by our villains. Kaijo returns home to find everyone dead and vows revenge by joining up with Eagle's Sentai division, which is where he meets his fellow cohorts and his commander, who runs a curry shop named Gon. In the Gonensei book, Kaito returns home from rug week practice, discovering his dad and their students with knives in their back, and a note on the Aka Ranger suit telling him to locate Gon, who will fill him in on all the details since he could not. Shinmei does have a story arc with his best friend in one section of the Sunday edition, while he is pretty much just there for the Gonensei stories. Peggy has very little screen time in either, while in both, Asuka loves to give Daita riddles he tends to be unable to solve. Sadly, the riddles seem to be there more to get the audience to laugh for a moment as opposed to actually developing these characters, which is a real shame. I will say though, the riddles are kind of funny. Other than that, their job is to stop the villains and nothing more. Not much changes even in the series aimed for 5th graders, however, we do get to see them in civilian form more often than not, similarly to the show. The villains. Beyond being told they are a terrorist organization named Black Cross, we never learn anything about them. Seems like Ishinomori figured everyone would know who they are based on the TV show and chose to not even show us their leader. Even the monsters of each story barely hold a presence. Skull Mask, who is the one that murders Kaijo's dad, is only in that one scene of the Sunday edition, while he is actually defeated in the Gonensei version. The artwork. The artwork is kind of hard to describe, as Ishinomori tended to draw simplistic looking characters with detailed backgrounds. Thus, don't expect the Gorangers to resemble how they look on the show at all. In fact, Kaijo looks pretty much like hero from Kikaider more than he does to the Kaijo on the show. One of the things I adore in regard to the artwork is how Ishinomori depicts each Ranger color given the series is in black and white. He uses different shading techniques to help the reader know which Ranger is which without having to look at the number on their visor for help. Aka Ranger's suit is colored with all gray, while both Momo Ranger and Kiranger are plain outside of their visors. The interesting ones are Owl Ranger and Mito Ranger, for Ishinomori use cross-hatching to represent the blue and vertical lines for green. The shading is just exceptional all around, and I really have to give Ishinomori a lot of credit for finding a way to utilize black and white comics to their fullest potential, for there are several single panels that express more life than other artists could do in a full-colored book. His usage of shadows can give some scenes a very noir-y feel to them. Three of my favorite panels include one where Kaijo is standing before an entire city backdrop, a couple of drawings that show other characters reflecting an Aka Ranger's visor, and this shot here when one of the villains has his spotlight on our heroes.
In the end, I started watching Goranger with very low expectations because I didn't really know what to expect, but given that I've been quite disappointed with the series from the 80s that are supposed to be really top-notch, I figured it was best to go in with just wondering, well, let's see how this show's going to turn out and see where I go from there. To my surprise, it blew those expectations out of the water on massive proportions. I have enjoyed this show immensely despite its minor nitpicks. The Ranger cast is exciting and interesting to watch, though for some reason they have something against the color black.
中原団地に異常なことが起こってるぞ。
異常なこと？
ああ、団地の人々がブラックイズビューティフルと叫び、なぜか黒い服ばかり着てるんだな。
There's nothing wrong with black. Anyway, with all the love I have given this show and that I highly enjoyed it, I am going to give it a solid 4 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. For being the first of its kind, it was thoroughly thought out for what it wanted to be. A spy thriller, and it did it efficiently. Even if you aren't a hardcore Sentai fan, I would recommend checking this out, especially if you are a fan of espionage films. Until next time, bye.